So we'll get started today. Today, I'm going to be talking about, like Angel already said, but I really want to draw the connection between the mental health, the emotional health part, and the physical part, and how to draw the dots and connect it all together in a way that makes sense for people. So my name is Dr. Jia Li, Doctor of Physical Therapy, personal trainer, owner of PhysioX. It's a lifestyle physiotherapy brand with remote and in-person services that's right now based out of Newton, Massachusetts. But who am I actually? Because that's what you see on paper. But my real name is actually Jia Li. And I'm a son of two immigrants. And we came from a village in China called Toisan. Has anyone heard of that place before? My sister, there you go. She got it. All right. So I came in when I was 2 years old. And somewhere in the middle of just being here, my mother actually said, hey, you don't have an English name. Your name is just Jia Li. It's just what my Chinese name is, just pronounced out in English. And she said, you should probably change your name to like Jackie. Anyone know why she would even say Jackie? Jackie Chan. Oh, you're my girl this whole evening. You'll be my girl. All right. So my dad worked in a restaurant. My mom worked in a factory. I grew up in Chinatown. And I was a typical quiet kid growing up. I did have a lot to say, but I was still kind of like shy, was reserved. I would not raise my hand, and if they're gonna call on me, like my hands would get sweaty and I try not to make eye contact. So that's kind of me growing up as a kid. But this story is actually less about me and more about my mother. And that's her right there on the left if you need me to point it out. So some things to know about my mother. She works hard. She loves to bargain shop. So, you man, all night long. Okay. So she works out. She likes to bargain shop. She'll love to go to Macy's, and you do not want to be behind this lady at Macy's because she'll have like 4 different coupons pulled out, and she'll lay them out in the right order so she can get the best deal. And by the time she's done, the cashier's looking at her like shocked, like, how is this $5? And there's like $200 worth of stuff. So that's her thing. She never had an education past elementary school. That's because back in China, it really is not like a thing to have higher education. We grew up in Toisan, which is more of a farming village. When I went back when I was 5, people were still getting water out of a well, so not very developed. I failed Tiger Mom. I say that because here I am, I didn't go to any of the schools around here. I didn't go to Harvard, MIT. Matter of fact, I went to UMass Amherst for 4 years and just kind of parted my way through it. So got enough grades to go into graduate school in Franklin Pierce University and graduated that and got my doctorate. So not your typical strict Asian, high achieving type of story. And she worked in an assembly line. It's a digital factory, you can imagine. She just kind of sits down and put little pieces on other small little pieces, and she'll do that all day long. And she'll work 10 hours a day, work there for a few decades, making close to minimum wage. But that's fine, that's what she did. Her other duties, she cooked, she washed the dishes, she cleaned, she did laundry, and she was also studying for the naturalization exam to be an American citizen. And if you didn't know by now, I'm a pretty spoiled child. I didn't do any of those stuff. So I still remember every single day she'll come back from work and she'll put on the cassette, she'll rewind it, she'll press play, just right to sleep. Every single day, repeats itself for like months and months and years. And she finally passed the exam, which I don't know how. But that was one of our biggest goals coming here, is actually to become an American citizen. And for us, America is a dream. The land of opportunity. Free healthcare for low-income families, subsidized housing, financial aid. This is what's allowed me to do what I'm doing right now. It's what allowed me to be here today talking to you guys. So we're gonna fast forward all the way to the point I graduated PT school. My mother developed back pain, neck pain, sciatica, and so bad that she had to stop working. And we tried just about everything. We tried a chiropractic route, got her back cracked every couple of days. She even did physical therapy, not through me, but through other physical therapists. Acupuncture, heat, ice, compression, Chinese herbs. I'm not sure you guys know much about Chinese herbs, but you go into a store, they'll give you 10 different things folded up in an envelope, And you're supposed to boil that thing for like 36 hours into this black potion that tastes like dirt, and then you slurp it down. And she did that. I did that too. It's just part of the culture. That didn't work. And we also got so far as to get a cortisone shot, like last resort. And honestly, that didn't really help either. So I said, you know what? I'm a physical therapist now. I'm a big shot now. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go and take her out of everything that she's doing. I'm going to treat her myself. So I threw everything at her. You know, I gave her the exams that I learned in school. Oh, her hips are a little tight, so I'm going to give her a little hip stretch. Her core's a little weak. I'm going to give her some, planks and core stuff. Her posture's like this. So I'm here. Let's fix your posture, Mom. And I'm going to give you some strengthening exercises because I'm also a trainer. So I gave her everything, right? Everything I learned. Surely it's going to work. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. And she thought she would just have to live with this for the rest of her life. And what's that mean for her is that she can't walk for too long. She needs to be driven by someone else. She can't carry her own groceries. And she's going to have to rely on other people to live her life. And she wasn't doing her normal bargain shopping anymore. She just can't do it. She can't fathom going over there and walking around and trying to find things. So that hit me pretty hard because, I went through all this school and she suffered through all these years. And finally I got this degree that's supposed to help people, and I couldn't help my own mother. So I did something that I should be proud of. I just studied more. And this is the key. If you want to keep an Asian mom happy, you just study. And I remember when I was young, I would just hold on to a book with some pages open, watching TV, and then when she comes over, I'm like, and she was like, "That's my son." I was like, that's it. And that's how I kind of did it. But now this time I actually did study. And now I'm going to be segmenting into the more education about how the body actually functions and what actually works. So I realized the material taught in school was really not adequate to help people like my mother. Because we're taught to look at things in a very isolated manner. We're taught to look at the bicep does this, the quad does this. But a living human being doesn't really work that way. There really isn't a lot of isolation that happens. When we move, we mostly move unconsciously. So the nervous system creates a default movement pattern to allow us to do things. So for example, if I'm thirsty and I'm going over here, I'm grabbing my water here, I'm not going to think, I'm going to extend my triceps, flex my biceps, squeeze with my forearms, pick it up, use my shoulder muscle and bring it over here. If I need to think about all of these steps, I'm just going to die of thirst. It's just not going to happen. But what I will be thinking about is, I'm thirsty. This water. Boom, that's it. So we move with our thoughts and we move with our emotions. If we think something is frightening, then we kind of shut this way. But we don't think about these things. These are all happening simultaneously. So knowing this knowledge, what do we do inside Physio X? I use an analogy to explain pretty much everything that I do in a nutshell. So imagine you guys are driving to work, and how long does it take, how long does it take you guys to drive to work?
About an hour.
An hour, wow. Anyone else?
10 minutes.
10 minutes, oh, let's use you as an example. An hour is a long time.
Yep.
All right, so let's say, okay, 20 minutes. Fine, we'll use the 20 minutes today. So let's say you're driving to work, first day at work, you don't know where you're going, so you put on a GPS. You put on the dash and then you go. Today, 20 minutes, tomorrow, 20 minutes, a week later, a month later, you don't need to use the GPS anymore. You just know where you're going. So you get there on autopilot. And every day you repeat that, and that becomes your default movement pattern. All good now. So point A to point B, 20 minutes, and point A to point B doesn't actually have to be you going in the car and driving. Point A to point B can be just you going from here to here. That's A, there's B, just a strategy that your nervous system has come up with to get you there most efficiently. Now imagine you start driving to work and now there's a detour. And they say, hey, you can't go here anymore. You gotta take this right. Now, so you're like, all right, I'm gonna drive to the right. You hit a bunch of potholes, hit a bunch of stop signs, traffic, pass by this like dump area where you smell this nasty smell you don't want to smell. And then you get to work and then it took you 40 minutes. And you're like, okay, fine. Next day you go back, that same detour still there, another 40 minutes, another month goes by, 2 months go by. You take that same detour, now that 40-minute route becomes your new default movement pattern. And that's kind of what I see when someone is coming to me and they have this pain, injury, or ache. I'm thinking, what kind of detour have your body taken to get you to the point where you can survive today? Now, let's say you're driving 40 minutes and they say, hey, you can't go this way anymore. You're gonna bank a left. You start taking a left and you went through the back streets. You go for this nice like lavender road. I don't know where it is, but you found it and you zipped on by. Now it took you 10 minutes to get to where you need to be. A to B, 10 minutes. Now when you first get there, you're like, wow, where has this been my whole life? And we're creatures that's always drawn to things that's gonna give us more pleasure or take away pain. So this mechanism in our nervous system is already built in. We're attracted to things that makes us do things more efficiently. So what do? The next day, you're gonna take that new detour. 10 minutes, month go by, 2 months go by. Now this 10 minutes become your new default movement pattern. So when it comes to physio X, the way we look at the body is very simple. We figure out where point A is, we figure out where point B is, we figure out what is your current strategy that you're using to get there, and can we show you another detour? So in the same analogy, I'm in the passenger side, you're still driving, and I'm just showing you, why don't you go take a left this way, take a right here, take a right here. And then boom, you get here and you're like, whoa, that was great. So I'm gonna have you take that detour on your own over and over again. And that's the power behind working with the nervous system. Because if you go ahead and get a massage or get your back cracked, that's kind of saying, let me get on the driver's seat and let me drive. And you can fall asleep in the passenger seat. I can get you there, but you don't know how to get there yourself. So when we talk about the nervous system, now we have to think about the factors that affects it. How do we control these things? So the factors that affect the nervous system that create these detours: movement, sensation, belief, mood, and many more. And this is when we can start to bridge the gap between the mental and the physical altogether. But let's start with the movement. Movement detour. So when we move, everything is not isolated, everything is integrated together. So say for example, this one of my clients came in. This is all through Zoom, so this is all virtual stuff. He came in and I was like, got some shoulder issues, so let me see you move. He started moving his shoulder, and you can tell the movement capacity here is not great. You don't have to know what's happening, you just know that it kind of looks ugly. So if we look a little bit closer, you go to a PT, they might tell you to do shoulder cuff exercises, bandage stuff. But when you start to look at the whole body, you start to notice that the hips are a little bit uneven, the foot's turned out a different way. So what if we can shift everything together? Like for example, if I have one hip drop, look what happened to the shoulder. It just dropped this way too. So we're treating the shoulder, shouldn't we look at everything else around it as well? So what we do, we gave him some movement to redefine where that center is, and then we had him do it again, and this is what he looks like. And this is not over the course of weeks, months, this is over the course of 20 minutes, because the power of the nervous system is SO. Because he never had a muscular injury or some kind of joint injury, it is the nervous system finding another detour that's really not quite efficient for what he's trying to do. And I'm gonna show you guys exactly what we did over here. So how do we change that? How do we create that type of change back here, from here to here? How's this so drastic, and how do we do it? Because we manipulate the nervous system. Now the nervous system have a really good idea of where the middle is. So if I show you my arm and I say, go find the middle, it's gonna be very easy. You're gonna go, whoop, right here. That's where the middle is. You just need two sets of information. you need to know where something starts, where something ends, and you can find the center. But what if this is the reality of what's happening? And you think your center is here, but this is really where the beginning and the end is. Now your perception of the center is going to be not accurate. So let's say, for example, if you're someone who sits on the desk and your mouse is here and you're leaning here all day, a lot of us do this, and it's fine. We can do that. That's fine. And we're here, and then once in a while we come back to the center, and then we come back here, and we come back to the center, and we come back here. If we show our nervous system this all day long, months, years down the road, when we think that the nervous system is going to think the center is somewhere closer to the right. So what do we need to do? We need to show that we have this shape in our body, but we also have this shape in our body. So we can figure out where the real start is, the real end is, and then the nervous system will recalibrate where the center really is. And this is all happening in an unconscious manner. That's why you go get your posture looked at and say, hey, I want your shoulder to be like this, and I want your hips to go like this, and now stay there. It's going to be impossible because posture is neurologically driven, and we need to give it a neurological movement in order to make those kind of changes. So we're going to do exactly what helped that person achieve those kind of results. Okay? All right, so everyone just gets to sing already, so it's perfect. Just find like a nice area to sit on. Sitting exercise. It's a sitting exercise. Yeah, don't you love it when you can do exercises and you don't have to move? This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. Spread out a little bit, for sure. Okay, very good. So sit on the edge of whatever you're sitting on. So I want you to feel both your butt cheeks. Okay? Good. And make sure it's the same. Make sure you don't shift away from one to the next. We're going to start raising one hand up in the air as high as we can. Keep reaching. Keep reaching, keep reaching. So when you keep reaching, what you're going to find is that as you reach, you're going to find that your rib cage is going to start rotating this way. Your head is going to tilt because you need to look into the horizon. By just reaching the arm, our entire body starts to shift. And then we bring it down. Left hand, we're going to reach, reach, reach. Notice the other shoulder start to get heavy and drop. Notice this rib cage start to rotate this way, all the way through. Now you might notice that one side reaching is a little bit different than the other side reaching. Maybe you're so good at going one way, but not so good the other way. So this is a very simple exercise that we can start doing just at our desk, like that. Notice this is a full body movement. And you're gonna have a tendency to wanna shift your weight. Don't do so, just like that. Like I said, you're going to be very disappointed with the exercise I'm going to give you today. Start your little exercise thing. All right, so now we're going to start adding the lower body in here. We're going to start thinking about everything that's going on down here as well as the upper body. Everyone stand up for me. So I want you to recognize that when we move one joint, how everything starts to move. I'm going to have you guys take one knee and bend down knee a little bit so this hip starts to drop. And get yourself just right down the middle here so you're not shifting your weight too much, just dropping. And what you're going to notice is that the other shoulder drops, the shoulder gets higher, and your head kind of tilts. You might even feel a little stretch here. Come back up. Now you can get the other hip, bend that knee and let that drop. And you can see how everything starts to shift and turn, like so. Come back up, and it's the other way. And there's a little skill in here. There's some sass that you want to have in here. And when we first start doing this, you may be very awkward because you kind of lifting, you're going forward off the center. So try to keep your gaze down the center. Because what we're trying to do is recalibrate where the center of our body should be from the left and the right. You're looking at me, you're like, how he does it so well. And now we're going to add the hand. So if we drop the right hip raise the right hand. Let this hip drop and raise that. There you go. Keep up, 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 up. Go as high as you can. Let this hip drop even lower. You feel that stretch going through all the way through that right side and some closing happening on the left side. So we're showing the end range of this shape. I'm gonna come back here, drop this other hip here and reach nice and high. You might find that your shoulder blades start to shift in different ways, start to rotate in different ways. You might find yourself be a little uncomfortable one side versus the other. Drop, 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 drop. Trying to stay down the center line. And if we're doing this well, the body would automatically drop into the center. But that may not happen for us immediately because we haven't been to this detour before. We still need a GPS. So something like a mirror can be your GPS. Cool. So you guys keep practicing this. You guys can maybe end up doing like the nay-nay afterwards, you know? You can hit that real well if you get this right. So this is one of the many different kind of exercises that we do. And sometimes I just sit on the edge of a chair and I just drop my hip. And I get a nice movement in my body this way. And I'm getting a nice movement in my body this way. Right? So instead of trying to stretch 50 different things at once, like I'm trying to stretch this, that, everything is kind of tight here, there, all different places, we can have one movement that it really can encompass everything else. Sensation, how we sense the ground changes how we move. So this is another client of mine. And when I met her, she was saying, I think, I'm gonna have to get this massive surgery on my hip. I have this hypermobile joint. I got this foot problem, I got this hip problem, the shoulder problem, my neck is all over. My neck is always tight. A bunch of different issues happening all at once, seeing about 12 different PTs. Everyone gave them different things. She knows all the usual stretches that she had. And I saw her and I said, hey, this person is a mess. And I just want to see how she moves from the ground up. So in the first time here, I just had her rotate. And you can tell over here that she's not quite down the center. Her body's kind of shifted. And when she's twisting, she feels that hip pinch, that backache, like that, something in the back of the shoulders, a lot of different pains that she's experiencing. And what ended up happening here on the second one is I just put a towel underneath her foot and I say step on that towel and then rotate to the same direction. When she can feel the ground better, suddenly her entire movements start to change. And that's all happening through the nervous system. Now I'm gonna show you guys another exercise just to be aware of your feet. So if you guys don't mind, stand up for me and take off your shoes. Pretend like you guys are at my house. Shoes off. You guys don't want to like walk around or something? All right. We could just continue. That's fine. You did have a built-in brake. There you go. Do a little twist. Just move. Yeah. Very disappointing, I know. Yeah.
We can just change it a little bit. See if I can tilt it up a little bit.
Yeah. Sweet.
I'm so used to people having like
Collars?
yeah.
Oh, damn
and like
it.
something like this.
Should have known. I should have known
not
to wear
your
a
fault.
collar.
It's good.
Cool, thank you. I was like, maybe I should wear a dress shirt. I'm going to a corporate event. Nah, right? Nah. So you guys are chilling. You guys are so comfortable. All right. So how's Zoom going? Everyone there? We're here? Sweet. And so I want everyone to just sit up tall right now. Like that. And kind of feel your lower back. You feel those muscles? They're a little tight, right? It's kind of like you squeezing your fist all day long, trying to sit up tall. But yet, that's what we think proper posture is. Like, sure, when you stand, sure, go ahead and stand tall. But when you sit, sitting is not an exercise. So what I like to tell people to do is that I want you to actually chill. See how much better that is? But in a lot of cases, many people cannot hold this position without pain. Why? Because they can't really breathe into other areas of the body. Now, for example, let's say you can't breathe into the backside of your rib cage and you can only breathe through the front. If you sit down like this and you're slouching over and you're trying to breathe, but you can't breathe here, so you have to breathe through here. See, I'll end up using my low back muscles again, just to breathe, just to breathe. So in order for us to feel real comfortable sitting, working for a long time like this, we have to learn how to breathe through the other parts of our ribs, which is our backside. And that can take off a lot of stress because this can feel very tense. What ends up happening is that we try to stretch things. We try to do this, we try to do that. Like those guys over there, they should have been here right now. I would have saved their flight, but hey, maybe they'll get the recording in time. So we're gonna work on a slouch. Very simply, I'll get a different chair so I can, yeah, I'll use this thing right here. I like this, it's very light. Very good. All right, so, yeah, maybe a little too low. So here, take an inhale. Just kind of let these ribs depress down here. And then from here, when you inhale again, don't inhale and come back up again. Just kind of stay down there and take a nice inhale through your nose. And tell me if you feel some air going through the backside of your body. And you might feel those ribs starting to open up like this, because they're all attached. They kind of open up like this, and those muscles that attach to those ribs, they start to get stretched out. So this is what I call stretching from the inside out. Here, take a couple breaths here. Inhale through the nose. Exhale deeply. And as you exhale more and longer, you're gonna find these ribs start to depress down more, and you might find yourself slouching a little bit lower. And if you want to take a better inhale, take a better exhale. So go long with your exhale. And once you feel good here, you can let your head dip down. And then go ahead and take your breath with your head down. Let yourself get real lazy. Just feeling the breath go into the backside of your body. Try not to let it come back to the front of your body. And if you're feeling a nice stretch to the upper back, lower back, that's great. And when you feel ready, I want you to go ahead and start to go forward a little bit. So your hands start to go reach towards the ground. And for us to do this, you want to be at the edge of your chair. And I want you to slowly allow yourself to go further and further down. I don't want you to push yourself there. I want you to allow your body to get there on its own. And if you can palm the floor, you can go ahead and palm the floor. And what I'm about to say now is going to sound a little bit weird, but I want you to breathe through the backside of your body, breathe through your butthole. I told you it's gonna sound a bit weird. The reason why I say that, because a lot of times we hold tension in our butt. We don't even notice it, but we clench. So by thinking about that, we can let that go, and we can actually have air fill up our entire body, loosen up our pelvis, loosen up our ribs, and finally allowing those back muscles to take a break, and they can start to stretch out from the inside out. Take 2 more breaths, and then we're gonna come back up. all right, so how's she doing now? She swims and she walks every day. She does her breathing exercise daily. She can sit for at least an hour now. It used to be like 10 minutes, so I'll take that as a good big win. And she's not seeing a chiro, PT, or anyone else anymore. She's handling it all on her own, and occasionally I go in there and I tell her to do a little extra stuff. And she's retired. And is this the end of the story or just the beginning? I'll say just the beginning because that's kind of the origin of PhysioX here. So after all this discovery, I realized I can't really go back to the normal setting. I don't want to go back to a place where I don't have time to see my clients, where I get a lot of backlash from insurance companies to dictate how I want to treat. Because if someone comes in with a shoulder issue and I'm looking at their feet, I'm looking at their hips, they're going to look at me like I'm crazy, and they're not going to want to pay for these kind of services. And I can't treat multiple areas at once because someone will come in with a shoulder, a knee, and a back, and I see the connection. I see they're all related. For me to treat one, I had to treat everything all at once. And just the traditional model is not going to allow me to do that. So what I do, I felt kind of lost. Like, on one side, I was like, I have a job, pays the bills, it's great. And on the other side, after knowing everything I know, so I can't really do what I actually want to do for people, to build that connection with someone, to really understand what's happening with them. So 2020 was kind of the perfect storm to start a business, right? We have COVID, the Asian hate crime is on the rise, so what better time to start an Asian-owned business than 2020? I'm not sure if you guys see this video right here, but this is a grandma. She was a victim of Asian hate attacks. And in this video, she actually hit her attacker, and he was on the stretcher getting brought up to the emergency room. So I was like, hey, good on her. But really what took me was when she said, he hit me, she said it in Toisanese. And that was a language that I speak, that my mother speaks, that my grandmother speaks. And in this video, I saw my mother and my grandmother all in one, in her shoes. And that's when I said, hey, now is not the time to be quiet. Now's the time to be a bit more vocal. So it kind of solidified the idea that I should be going on my own and I should be doing something for myself. Advantages? So there are some advantages, as well as there's a lot of negatives to that year. More people are online. People are more open to virtual services than they weren't before. So at least they'll give it a try. So, oh yeah, maybe I can handle this thing virtually. And my method doesn't really rely on my hands. It relies on the information that I can tell you. It relies on my ability to see the differences in the strategy that you're using. So it's kind of a perfect match for what I want to do. So PhysioX started. I started making content on TikTok and Instagram. And the focus was just on educating people on everything that I know in the simplest way possible, while also giving some kind of entertainment in like 5 to 10 seconds. That was the whole game plan. And I was very nervous at first. I have insecurities, I have this imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to educate the masses about these very important issues? And what are my other colleagues going to think about me when I start posting this content? Because it's not your usual PT exercise content. I'm not going in here showing you like a clamshell, like a rotator cuff exercise. I'm speaking very philosophical, very different way of approaching the body. But once you start to think about it deeply, it starts to make a lot of sense, and you start to question the old ways. Like, why do we always do things the old way? Well, because we had always done that way. Doesn't mean it is the way that is the best. And I was not very successful in the beginning, I'll admit. I just thought I was just gonna throw some stuff out there and I thought it's gonna be a hit. Nah, really not much traction at all. But eventually I did get some momentum. I started to have a small following on Instagram, just 800 to 1,000 people at a time, that I started to market to and promote my hybrid coaching service. So originally I thought I need like 10,000, 100,000 followers to be able to make it online. But that's not the case, because what we forget is that behind every single follower is an actual person. And if we connect to that just one person or two people, 3, 4, 5, we have a viable business. Fortunately, in this past year, a couple of TikTok videos went viral and it hit me up to 50, and I got a lot more traction this way. So Maybe I'll hit a little bit bigger on the TikTok platform. But just because you have 50,000 followers doesn't mean you have 50,000 people that actually cares about what you're doing. Out of that 50,000, maybe only 1% really cares. So the hybrid coaching program, this is the program that I developed. So it is a blend of live sessions and a blend of remote check-ins. So you can see me in person, you can see me virtually. And from that, I will decipher what kind of program that you need. I will send all of those detour exercises, I call them, through an app that you can look in your phone. And it's usually just exercises that I record myself that I send over to you. And I provide asynchronous feedback, which allows for a lot more frequent touch points. So for example, you go see your physical therapist or whoever once a week. What's happening that 5 to 6 days a week that you're not seeing this person? What's going on over there? So many things can happen in between. And when I'm working with people who's dealing with pain that's been going on for a long time, they want to have that type of touch point. They want to have a PT kind of in their pocket that they can ask questions whenever. If I'm giving someone exercise to do, it's usually not just something you can watch and do it a few times to understand it. You have to feel the right things, and I need to have an effect that I can see. Like for example, that lady that twists there and then they twist here, that's the difference. Or someone who had pain here and then suddenly they did a detour exercise and they're suddenly not having pain there. These are changes that we need to see in order for the nervous system to understand that, hey, look, this is something that I want to have, because as creatures of humans, we want to create changes that is more efficient for us. But if we're not seeing those, we're not going to create changes. So what my clients can do is that they can send me a video of them doing the exercises through that same app. And within 24 hours, I give them a response, correcting the form in a way that looks like me on a small little screen, their video there, and I might just say, hey, point an arrow here. I want this to come down a little bit. I want you to breathe this way. I want you to feel this when you're doing this part of the exercise. And an optional tailored workout program. So people who does very well, even in the traditional setting, just having the right detour exercises, but they go and work out and everything just goes back to square one, because the workout isn't really tailored to benefit them as well as the daily stuff. So I'm like, hey, look, we can combine those two together. So if you want to work out, I'm going to program your entire workout for you. So that way your workouts and your daily movement plan, they come in harmony. It just makes a lot of sense to me. And since I have my own business, I can develop this type of service and have this type of product. And why did I keep going? Because starting is one thing, but keep going is actually a lot harder, in my opinion. I actually met a lot of interesting people from all different walks of life. And they had lost hope in their future, very much the same way my mom did when we started. And I feel I have no choice but to keep going. This lady right here, Leanne, she just left the program a couple weeks ago. And when I first met her, she didn't sit on a couch for years. She would stand all the time. And you can see how much that can limit her. She can't hang out with her friends, can't hop on a plane. Everything that she does, she feels very frightened, very careful. She has this belief that everything she does is gonna cause her a lot of pain. And she's seen over at least, I don't know how many therapists that she's seen, but she's been dealing with this for 12 years. And she gave me this message, May 6th, that she drove for 3 hours, surfed for 6, danced to the concert, and slept on a shitty hotel mattress, and woke up this morning in no pain, then drove 3 hours home, stopped on the way to eat, and sat on a hard chair for an hour, still no pain. Laid on a shitty mattress, and still have no pain. I want to touch on this point a little bit further, because people believe that that they need a good mattress so they can get out of pain. People are stuck in survival mode, and what I mean by that, if I ask someone, hey, how's your back? They say, oh, it's good if I have this cushion. It's good if I have this chair. It's good if I can sleep on this type of bed. Okay, are you living, or are you kind of surviving? Or are you providing things are you changing your environment just so you can survive in this world? But if you're truly ahead of this problem, I ask you, how's your back? And you go, well, what are you talking about? it would be an absence of thought. That's when you can truly live in the moment, when you don't have to think about what your body can or cannot do anymore. And I met a couple other different people. I won't give you all my whole reviews here, but just to point out different people, like Steve from, I think he's from Virginia area, from Arkansas, just people that I would never meet, and people who suffer very similar problems that my mother did, lost hope in what their life can be like. And just me being on the internet, making these TikToks had allowed me to connect to these type of people. And I thought, hey, I can't just stop, because there's a lot of people that actually need this service. Tim from Baruga, Australia, never even heard of that place before. And yet we found a way for him to fix his feet after 12 years, gone through multiple surgeries. And through this process, I kind of learned more about who I am as a person. Entrepreneurship, I think people would say, is a journey in self-development. And at first, I'm like, what are you talking about? But as I dive deeper, I start to understand a bit more. And I understand that I'm kind of tired of hiding behind the Asian stereotype. What it is that we're quiet, we're subservient, we're geeky, we're rule followers, and we're unfit to be a leader. And what's crazy when I read this list is that these things are actually ingrained in me growing up by my parents, actually. Because I've been told to not be loud. I've been told to just follow the rules, obey authority. I've been told to just take the safe route, get a safe job. When I was 12, I told my dad that I want to be an engineer or an accountant. And I had no idea what that even meant. All I knew was all the successful Asian Americans that I knew were all engineers or accountants or someone who kind of worked behind a desk somewhere. And my dad even said, hey, look, if you study hard, one day you can go to BU or whatever nice school here, and you can become an engineer just like so-and-so. And that was my dream. That wasn't even my dream, but yet I grew up with knowing that. But the reality is, that's not really who I am. I don't take myself too seriously. I'm a bit more social. I have opinions on things I want to talk about. I'm a little bit louder than other people. But all of that had been suppressed because of the way I was brought up. It's suppressed. And I didn't even realize all of this until I started to own a business in which I need to put myself out there. And when you put yourself out there, you have to think about, well, who am I? What is it that I'm putting out there? So it's very important that I create a brand that reflects deeply who I am and what it's all about. Does anyone know anything particular about the PX symbol, especially the X? Yep. So if you take away everything here, you would see the symbol, which is a Chinese character for a person. And I put them there purposely because my brand is empower people to be human. Because once you remove distractions like your pain, stress, your responsibilities, your job title, you're left with just one thing. It is, you're a human being. And we're all on this earth to experience the human experience. And we cannot forget that, especially when we're talking about treating pain or treating actual human beings. And this symbol, once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's just not possible. And that's the same way we look at clients. Instead of someone coming in, like this is a knee person, this is a shoulder person, no, this is Bob, this is Susan. Once you humanize these people, you can never dehumanize them again. The X, of course, is a tribute to my Asian American heritage. And all the models used in all these photos that you've seen over here they're just friends or clients. Because we believe in authenticity. We believe that we should showcase actual human beings with their actual emotions. Life without limits. So this is the tagline I chose. And life without limits, everyone kind of say that. And it took me a long time to figure out what I want to say. And I have all these words, but I ended up with this. Because when I ask clients what they ultimately want out of working together, we usually always end up in a very similar place. They say, I just want to be myself again. When I'm in pain, I'm short with my husband, I'm short with my kids, and that's not who I am. I'm a gentle, I'm a caring person, but because of this pain, I have become someone else. So how do I find myself again? And I just want to live the life I had always imagined for myself. I'll hear things like, I'm only 42, and yet I'm having trouble sitting on a plane for 6 hours. I can't visit my cousin from Alaska because I can't be on a plane. Is that supposed to happen to me at 42? And I was like, well, maybe it doesn't have to be. And life without limits means one, that you just want to be limited by your physical body. Now, there's going to be a lot of obstacles in our lives, but living in a body that's fully functional and able to do what we want to do, that shouldn't be one of the obstacles. So life without limits for me as a business owner is to give a voice to Asian Americans, because there's so many people like me growing up believing that they're going to be an accountant, believing they're going to be an engineer, and I bet you just a lot of them, maybe even some of them working here right now, that maybe deep down they wanted something else. And just to give them a voice, say, hey, look, maybe you can do something else. And I want to be in the forefront. That's what the logo is right there, with the Asian character right in the front, not in the back, where you have to search for. And I've been inspired by other Asian American role models. You guys seen Crazy Rich Asian? Great movie. I hate chick flicks, but I love that movie. Partly because I'm just seeing people that looks like me doing something big, and I say, hey, maybe I can do something big too. And I want to be that type of role model for the next generation of entrepreneurs. And bringing awareness to mental health, because it's very crucial. I see it in my mother. Most of her physical issues is all coming from the mental health side. She didn't go through an accident, she just lived her life, and her life brought her to this stage because of the other factors that's unrelated to physical injuries. And I want to inspire people to live the life they want to live. So I ask people, if you didn't have this pain, how would your life look different? And I love hearing the answers. Just say, hey, I'm gonna go, I want to be someone that works out 3 times a week. I want to be someone that has this type of lifestyle. Whatever it is, we want to help you get there. And I want to encourage everyone today to breathe intentionally, think compassionately, and live authentically. And this is just a picture of me somewhere in Sedona with my shirt off, just because I think it'd be a good shot. It wasn't, but it doesn't matter, because that's the life I want to live. And I want to encourage every one of you today to just live the life that you aspire to live. And sell some merch, right? But yes, that is the end of the presentation today. Hopefully I touched all the different main points today, all right? But yes, there are merch if you guys want to buy some merch. The online store is open until 5:31. After that, it's taken off and we're not selling anymore. Use the code PX for $8 off. That's it. And I guess right now, it's probably a good time to open up for questions, if you guys have any questions.
Thanks so much. There is a poll that was posted on the Slack channel, but please feel free to just jump in if anyone had anything.
I had a question on sleeping
Yep.
and how the way you sleep can unconsciously, like in the way you were talking about how working out can potentially impact your progress that you do in doing these movements. How could something like sleep maybe or unconsciously favor one side or whatnot also kind of impact that progress that you're making, potentially via movements and breathing?
Right. So it's very hard to control how we sleep. And the benefit of getting good sleep outweigh the benefit of having good form when you're sleeping. So I would always be on the side of where however you want to sleep that makes you feel the best, that's how you want to fall asleep. And you sleep for 8-9 hours, but you have the rest of the 12 hours, 14 hours or whatnot to really control the rest of your body. So your sleep and the way that you sleep shouldn't be a big problem unless you have an active shoulder issue and you can't sleep on that side, of course, and we want to go the other side. So we don't have to think very hard about what we should be doing when we're sleeping, because sometimes even just thinking about that gives us anxiety and gives us more stress over that. And what you might notice that in times when you don't get good sleep are the times that you're thinking about getting good sleep. When you don't think about good sleep, you knock out. I don't know what the Slack looks like, but if anyone's asking anything here.
I asked, I have neck pain all the time. Is there anything I can do differently while I work?
So that's a loaded question because there's a lot of reasons for neck pain, but this is how we look at neck pain. The neck is a muscle that can very often be used to help us breathe. So think about if we can't breathe through a diaphragm, we can't breathe through the normal mechanics here, we might end up kind of breathing through our neck. So one of the things I will work on is how do we get ourselves to breathing more properly? And ergonomics do play a role. I'm not going to say it doesn't. If you're here with your head out here all day long with this overly slouch, you will put a little more pressure on that part of your neck. So to have a seat that gets you sitting a little bit taller, you don't have to be tall like this. You don't have to be tall like this, but if you can be just slouched a little bit and have your head not entirely all the way over here, that can help out. But yes, it's a very loaded question because there's a lot of different ways we can tackle this problem, and we really need to understand exactly what kind of strategy you're using when you're just being at your office. So the whole detour type analogy, we're gonna go back to that because we can't give you something unless we can figure out exactly what you need. But yes, I would start with breathing and your ergonomics as far as tips that's almost fail-proof.
Okay, this might seem like a silly question, but obviously talking about breathing and the importance of breathing. I've seen a lot of just discourse online recently about like mouth breathing versus nasal breathing and like how good nasal breathing is. So can you like talk a little about how you like to think about breathing?
Mm-hmm. No.
That's just a normal thing about.
That's a good question.
And what is the, I guess, best way to make sure that you're breathing appropriately in these circumstances when you're doing these exercises?
Right. So nose breathing, super important. There's a book that came out rather recently called Breath by James Nestor. Maybe someone have read it, but there are certain tribes in which they will literally tape someone's mouth just so they can breathe through the nose. When you breathe through your nose, there's actually chemical processes that happens in your body that doesn't happen if you're mouth breathing. And the research has come out and actually found that when you're breathing through your nose, it actually affects the way your jaws form in your body. And we know when bones form in a certain way, it affects the adjacent bone next to it. So I would say breathing through your nose is number one. And when you're breathing, let's say the exercise that we're doing, you always want to inhale through your nose. There's a much higher possibility that you can get air to the right parts of your rib cage when you breathe through your nose versus when you're just breathing through your mouth. Usually it just goes belly. And since we're on the topic of breath and belly breathing, a lot of people who does belly breathing actually shouldn't be doing it. Because what's the point of just breathing through the belly when you have this whole rib cage here? So in many ways, we swing the pendulum too far in one direction all the time. With belly breathing, with posture, let's get everything to move all at once. Front side, back side, belly, everything at once through your nose, and you can lie down and you can do that. So it doesn't have to be as complicated. We can always make it a lot more complicated and a lot more direct to fix whatever issue that we want to fix. But if you just want an overall healthy habit, lying down on the ground, just breathing and making sure everything is moving all at once and feeling some of that stretching that's happening to the back side of your body can really be beneficial to help you feel less tense.
What about tongue posture? Do you have opinions on that?
Posture, I have a ton of opinion on posture. Huh?
Tongue posture?
Tongue posture. So tongue at the roof of your. You've been reading a lot, or you've been watching a lot of
Well,
TikToks.
I've heard that it changes the shape of your face, so I'm just interested in that too.
Yeah, there's like a whole
Does that
mewing
make sense?
thing.
Yeah. Not for my wellness, strictly for
Right. So tongue at the roof of the mouth is generally where we want the tongue to rest. We can find that if your tongue is not the roof of your mouth and at the bottom, we can have like an open mouth. We can have this kind of like jaw that's protruded back. I'm not saying if you do that all the time, you would develop that. I think that might be something that would have been developed when you were a young child all the way here. But yes, if you're breathing, see if you can get your tongue resting on the roof of your mouth, lightly touching your teeth.
I think about it all the time now. You'll never know.
Well, once you do it enough time, it will start to become unconscious and become automatic. So you can actually change where you rest your tongue just by practicing it. Good question, I love it. I do have answers.
I was wondering if there is if you pair physical therapy with the right nutrition, or you build up protein, or take protein shakes or something. Is that something you would recommend, or have you seen people boost their different types of or a different diet that can help with overall well-being and posture, how they can actually change their physical alignment?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as changing alignment, I don't think so much. But as far as building muscle, I'm just gonna skip the next slide. This is just information, and this is just a PR code. If you guys want to sign up for that email again, it's still here. I'm just gonna leave that on the screen. So nutrition is definitely very important. If you are trying to recover from an injury, because we know we need to build some kind of muscle around an area, if you're not intaking enough protein, your body won't have the right nutrients to actually build. So I actually have clients who refuse to eat a diet, and the issue is a lot more complicated than just refusing to eat. There's some social components to it, but we had not been able to make progress because she had lacked the proper nutrients to feed her body. As far as alignment and posture and stuff, I don't think the nutrition is going to play a big role. One way I can draw that connection is maybe if you're eating a very high inflammatory diet and you already have active inflammation in your body, then maybe that can have a role in the way that you feel as far as pain. But as far as a direct relationship to alignment and posture, I would go back to that detour analogy and how everything is all connected. That piece would actually create much longer lasting postural changes than the nutrition will. Oh, do you hear all that? You were gone for a second.
I didn't hear any of that.
Whew. Should I repeat it? All right, so just to summarize, as far as nutrition, the protein is important because we need to build proper muscles around the area that we're trying to strengthen. But as far as the food having a direct relationship to our alignment and our posture, not so much. It's more of working through the nervous system and changing that piece of it will be the one that's going to give you the long-lasting effects.
Anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah. No, sounds like no one have any more questions. But so this is my information over here. You guys want to reach me through my website, email, Instagram, TikTok, phone number, and I am accepting new clients. If you guys would like to speak to me and have a consult, you could figure out if what I do is something that can actually fit you, because this is really not for everyone. And the last thing I want to do is have someone come on who kind of look at me funny and like, what are we doing? Right? So I always start with a consult. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for being here, sharing your energy with me.
Thank you so much.
This is awesome. Yeah. Stretch it.
Not a lot of stretching.
Nice. You did awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you go.
Recording stopped.
I stopped the
Thanks,
recording.
Angel.